Welcome back to Salty Investigations. My name is Chris, and tonight we're going to do something just a little different. So instead of recounting the crime in Idaho, we are going to actually step behind the lens and look at the crime scene photos that have been dropped, and we're going to try to answer some questions that maybe people still have. I still have a lot of questions. We know that the families are fighting the release of further videos and body cam footage and photos. So that is something that's very important. On November 13th, 2022, Kaylee, 21, Maddie, 21, Ethan, 20, and Xana, 20. They were stabbed to death in their off-campus home in Moscow, Idaho. And the surviving roommates did not call 911 until 8 hours later, almost noon. The victims weren't restrained. They were not sexually assaulted. But Kaylee had over 20 stab wounds, and Xana sustained over 50. And most of hers was defensive wounds. But Kaylee not only was stabbed, she suffered from asphyxiation and blunt force trauma, the only victim that suffered those injuries. So we have to ask ourselves, why? And on July 2nd of 2025, Bryan Kohberger took a plea deal to avoid the death penalty. He was sentenced to 4 consecutive life sentences plus 10 years for burglary on July 23rd of 2025. That's the foundation. But fast forward, after Kohberger pled guilty and was sentenced, over 190 videos and photos that were of the crime scene were released under Idaho's Public Records Act. Honestly, they weren't just documents being dropped. They were reopening the wounds that the families have already tried to heal. The crime scene photos that we're going to go through, number one, they're going to show the normalcy of college life. Solo cups, laundry baskets, clothes, alcohol, college paraphernalia all over the house. This was an off-campus college house full of women that were trying to start their future. Xana Kernodle had received her DoorDash around 3:59 a.m. And you can see in the crime scene photos the food that was left over on the counter. She remained active on her cell phone until 4:12 a.m. Investigators summarized that Kohberger was entering King Road around 4:07. That's when we seen him last spotted on the Ring camera going up to King Road. And the photos helped reconstruct the crime scene, but it also reopened wounds. Families called the images heartbreaking and argued that even though the photos of their kids' rooms with them in it was blurred, that is not a redaction. Blurring is not redacting, per Ethan Chapin's mom. So Mogan and Chapin's family had filed a lawsuit against the city of Moscow, and that's why there had been a restraining order put on all of the photos being released until the judge makes her decision. I mean, with all the college paraphernalia that we notice in these crime scene photos, I mean, you're still getting the gist of what happened that night and the violence that took place. We also have families that are reliving the trauma, and the families are asking, where does the public's right to know stop and the human dignity begin? I mean, Kaylee's dad, Steve Gonzalez, has expressed his concern and worries about crime scene photos being leaked. And it seems like right after he spoke that on the news station, they started releasing photos almost immediately. I mean, but the content is legal. But does that make it right? At some point, as media content creators, we have to make a decision as to what we will release and what we will not release for the families. I mean, it's not enough to just demand transparency. We have to have some compassion. And with that being said, I am going to show you and go through some crime scene photos that I'm not going to send the graphic ones. I mean, there are some photos that, makes me have questions. And I think that everybody should have questions about this. So we're going to go through it. We're going to first go into the kitchen area. We're going to show some of the kitchen. I want to show you the back door. So the back door was left open when Officer Nunez arrived and he was doing his walkthrough. You could see that. You could also see 2 sets of footprints out back. You could see one on the left and one on the right. It looks to me and appears that the one on the left could have possibly been Maddie's as she took Murphy out to potty that morning. The one on the right, I think, is unexplained. And I know there had been a lot of controversy about this, stating that, maybe that's the police footprints. But now we know that's not true because the police, the first responder was Officer Nunez. Nobody had even been back there at that time. So that was left from the crime scene. Now, if we look over on the counter, I know there's been a lot of questions. Did Xana eat? Did she get her DoorDash and eat it? Did she even have time? Yes, she did. So we have proof of that. We have empty wrappers in her bag. The haunting photo, I guess, would be seeing Xana's name on the paper bag. To me, that just haunts me. And then you see, the amino black that had been sprayed around it because there was possible blood stains on the counter. And this picture, you can see the food that was inside the bag, the empty wrappers. So she was able to eat. So that, I guess, makes me feel better knowing that she did have something to eat. Seeing her French fries on the microwave, it looks like they were turned around and some kind of a napkin or something sitting on top of it. And then later on in the photo, they take another one and you can see that the fries are turned around facing the camera and the napkin has been moved over. So you have to understand that police have moved items so they could take pictures of certain things, which I think they should have just left it alone. But the haunting part is seeing that luminol drip or that amino black dripping down the countertops. And it's just creepy. Also in the kitchen, you can see that the bar stools, I don't know if you remember that, but whenever they were taking pictures and stuff on the outside of the house, we didn't even know what was going on. You could see the bar stools on the outside blocking the doorway at the sliding glass door. Now we can see on the inside what that looked like. You can see in this photo where they moved everything over onto the table so they could spray the amino black to look for blood and look for fingerprints. There is the window right here that the two handprints were on. So that was a very creepy moment. And I wanted to point that out to you. Here's another photo that I wanted to show you is the stairs going from the downstairs first floor up into the living room area. You can see cups, you can see cans, all kinds of footprints, scuffs on the stairs. Just looks very dirty. So I know that a lot of people have asked, did they clean up? Did Bryan Kohberger clean up when he left? If he cleaned up, I think we would have noticed it. He would have been cleaning in a dirty area. I mean, that's going to stand out like a sore thumb. Now, this is another picture as well that is showing the good vibe sign. It is moving from where you would be in the living room and you would be moving into the kitchen area or going upstairs to Kaylee and Maddie's area. I don't know if that was Xana's Apple phone or what that is. It kind of looks like it has been completely shattered. It looks like it has been possibly covered in blood. So I think that may possibly be Xana's phone. And that's eerie. I mean, it looked like blood to me. Here's another picture of the living room. So you can see the couch. You can see all of the lights that are behind the couch. So that entire living room with the party lights on was completely illuminated. That is the closet, kind of blurry, so sorry about that. But this is the closet where you see Kaylee make her TikTok video and she grabs the broom. This is a photo of the third floor deck. This shows where Kaylee and Maddie's deck area would be. It looks like Murphy has just tore something up, his little bed. He's got it all tore up. This is just the outside deck area. So the lights that were kind of so haunting is because the lights stayed illuminated for days after the murders. So every night, all of those outdoor party lights were still lit like they were the night of. So this part of the crime scene is kind of creepy to me. It's outside around the house. So we're going to go through this really quick. I mean, there are crime scene photos of the cars, but I really don't think that we need to get into that. But that is going to be the first picture of the cars that were outside the night or the morning of the murders. You can see that Saturdays are for girls in the left-hand side window. That was their flag in the living room. Then you can see the red Jeep, which was Ethan's Jeep. And then you can see how that road was beside the house. So it was elevated, and that's the road that Bryan Kohberger drove up the morning of the murders and then went back behind the house and parked. But this is something that I want to show. It's like really creepy. I mean, in this photo, kind of in front of the Jeep up to the left, you can see how dark that area is. Here's another photo at night. You can see a little bit of Xana's blue car in the photo, and the crime scene tape around the 3 rocks going up the hill. So that was all elevated. That was a hill to get to their back patio area. And right here is another picture of it. You can see the ladder to the left that somebody could climb up and go to Xana's window, which always kind of confused me. Like, what is that ladder doing there? But you can see how they have to walk up that area and how tall it is from that area right there. And there's another view with the back deck showing the sliding glass door that goes into the kitchen and how it's elevated on that hill. Now look behind that. You can see how dense that wooded area is. And there is another hill behind the house that goes up into the area where BK parked. You can see the trash outside the door. I mean, like I said, you're going to see typical college paraphernalia all over the house. And there was a couch. So as you can see where the trash is on the left-hand side is close to the kitchen window where the handprints were. So that leads me to believe that Brian could have come down that area right here and then to the left and then walked down, tried to get in the window and then walked around and popped the door lock open. That is the dense area back behind the house where he could have also walked down. And it almost looks like there's a trail. So remember, Murphy would run up there and then he would not come back. So, and that was really freaky to the students when they were out there on their Halloween party. Start getting into possible footprints in the snow. So there is a footprint. All you can see, it kind of looks like the heel. It looks like possibly a man's shoe. It's pretty big. So there's one. And here you show them measuring it. Here's another one that has the one next to it that shows you how big the footprint was. There was a black backpack found in the backyard, but I don't think that it had anything to do with the case. This area right here, you can see Dylan's room on the right side, her bedroom, and then on the left side, you can see the kitchen window where the 2 handprints were located. The screen is laying on the ground. However, I think that was old. That wasn't something that happened the morning of the crimes. But look how easily he could have walked down from that road and went right to that window undetected and then go in the sliding glass door. You can see by the grill, this is possibly where he could have walked down that morning. Here is another photo of that. So he would have had to jump or something in that area to get down to that area. I mean, that side of the house is very creepy. Now, this is in front of Ethan's Jeep, and you can see, I mean, they have it illuminated because they're taking photos, but imagine no lights on in that area, how dark that area would be. So that would be like super creepy. Like I wouldn't want to walk out there at night. We're going to get into a picture that I question. So, I mean, it looks almost like they have amino black because this is above that area in front of Ethan's Jeep. And it looks like something's running down. Now that's either bird shit or it's amino black. I haven't decided on what that is. And right there is another picture of 2 areas. I don't know, like I said, what that is. If you know what that is, please put it in the comment section. Is it the amino black? Did they spray something up there? Or is that like bird shit? I haven't figured it out. This is the entrance to the front door of the house. One thing I want to point out is the 1122 is not blinded out by any light like the DoorDash driver said, right? So that's kind of confusing to me because she said it was blinded out. She couldn't read the numbers. The light is under that. So I have no idea what she was talking about. Once you get in the door, you can see the debris and trash that's on the floor, alcohol cans. And then to the left, I mean, if you go straight ahead, it's to the bathroom, and to the left is going up to the upstairs living room. So this is a photo of the front door. It doesn't look like anything was messed with, honestly. This is the downstairs bathroom on the first floor. So this would have been the bathroom that Bethany would have used. Now look to the bottom left, you're going to see some whiskey shots down there. This is Bethany's bathroom. Downstairs, you can still see a can on the floor, but otherwise, I mean, it looks pretty clean. I mean, look at that. That looks pretty clean. But that is outside the bathroom. And if you turn right, you go to Bethany's room. If you go straight and upstairs, that is going to go in the living room. Somebody's keys are hanging on the wall going up to the living room. Now we start walking up into the living room and we start seeing typical college life. They had a big party. So you see alcohol, you see pillows, you see a backpack on the floor. Just, it's trashed. It had been completely trashed the night before. So, I mean, for Brian to do some kind of a cleanup job, it would really stand out. So I don't believe he had time to clean, nor do I think he did. The party lights again behind the couch. So that area would have been illuminated at night. And right here's the photo of the Saturdays Are for Girls flag. And then you see the party lights. So it would have been really illuminated. So that's, I mean, looking at the party lights and looking at the Saturdays Are for Girls flag, you have to remind yourself that whole area would have been illuminated at night. Another photo of that. You see chips on the couch. You see all of the cups on the floor. That lets you know that's where they ran. They ran and blew those cups off that table. You can see where the cups are. The cups on the right side are not touched. The cups on the left side are disturbed because that's where they were running. Now this is going to be Xana's bathroom. Looks like a typical bathroom. It looks like it is a little unkept, probably because, you know, they partied the night before. But for the most part, I mean, it looks pretty normal. Just a few clothes laying on the floor. You can see the washer and dryer in there. Nothing in that bathroom looks out of order to the point where you would think that there was a physical fight. I do not see any amino black sprayed on the walls. So there was no struggle in the bathroom. The bathroom was not entered. Photo of the knife that Hunter laid on the table. You can see where his fingers had blood on them from checking Xana's pulse, and they're showing up on the beer pong table. Here are the beer pong cups. If they had ran through that narrow way right here, they would definitely be disturbed, but they were not. And then you can get a better look of the blood spots from his fingers on the knife in this photo. And then as Brian would have walked by Dylan and walked into the kitchen, you do see that there is a stool kind of in the way, but he had plenty of room to get around that stool. And here's a better picture of that. And this is the crime scene from Dylan's room. You can see Xana's bag right there on the table. So she was literally walking right by there and dropping her bag on that counter when she heard the noises that were upstairs, and she went to go investigate. And in this picture, you can see how the door was open. This is how far the back door was open. And you can see a speaker on the chair. And I know that Dylan said that she did hear music, but I believe she heard that from Xana's phone and not something that was coming from the kitchen. This is a view. This would be what Brian Koberger's view would have been coming into the kitchen from the outside. That would have been his view going up into Maddie's room. This is the bottom foyer area. Once you go up the first set of steps into Maddie's and Kaylee's area, this would be the landing going up the second set of stairs to go up to their area. And that is the steps that enter into the hallway of Maddie and Kaylee. I don't know if these security lights were on, but this is going up into Kaylee's room right there to the left, and then Maddie's room is to the right. And I don't know if those lights were on that night, but if they were, that's creepy because he wouldn't even care. This is on the landing part after you go down one set of stairs coming from Kaylee and Maddie's. So this is where Xana would have been running away from Brian. Dylan's door is on the right. The kitchen is on the left. And then as you can see straight ahead, the beer pong table, there is plenty of room to get around to the left. This is after you go to the landing, this is going up into Kaylee and Maddie's area. You can see their little refrigerators. And of course, you see White Claws. This is when you get up into the hallway up where Maddie and Kaylee lived. You can see how neat and tidy and clean it was. Even though there were beer boxes and stuff. It was still very clean and tidy. That is going into Kaylee's room. And yes, her door is open. This is going to be Kaylee and Maddie's bathroom right next to Maddie's room. And you can see, again, they were very neat and tidy. I'm just amazed of how clean they were. I mean, for a college house, I mean, the upstairs on the 3rd floor was pretty clean. This is the bathroom that the DoorDash driver supposedly seen someone ducking down. Suitcase, walking out of Maddie's bathroom. And then this is what it looks like up by Kaylee's room looking down the stairs. So my question is, did Xana make it to the first landing that we are looking at right now? Or did she make it all the way to the top when she seen Brian? Now this is in Xana's bathroom. So I did want to point this out to you. It kind of appears like blood on the toilet paper, like a blood droplet. I thought that was kind of odd and I wanted to bring that to your attention. Here's a closer look of that blood droplet. I didn't want to get into any graphic photos. I wanted to give you kind of an idea of what the crime scene looked like. I wanted to kind of explain everything while I was going through it. As a better idea of what we were looking at. Going through the crime scene just reminds us of how short time is. These kids had no idea that their life was about to change that drastically that night. It was just a typical Saturday night. So I didn't want to go into detail and show a lot of graphic photos, but these are going to help kind of show what happened that night to kind of piece together this puzzle that we've been trying to put together for almost 3 years. Stay tuned for the next video. I'm going to go over Brian Koberger's apartment photos and kind of dissect his photos and see what I can gather from what the police took that day. Make sure to like and subscribe, guys. Please leave a comment and let me know what else you're wanting me to go over so we can work through this and try to get everything to you that you want to see. All right. Well, thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a great night.